Hey, it's Coach Taylor from SmarterTeamTraining.com. I'm a big fan of education, and anybody that's on this show knows that I go all over the country, if not all over the world, learning things. And it could be from an email to a phone call to watching a YouTube clip to being in person, whether it's teaching or learning. I think it's also important to be a student at times and really find out more information about maybe some topics that you don't know. And I'm not a big fan of Olympic lifts in our program. We don't work with Olympic lifters. And so I'm always trying to find people in the field who know way more about those lifts than I do, just so I can help the athletes learn more about those experiences that they're going through at whatever level they're working at. And also from the standpoint of, since I don't know it or I'm not very good at it, I like connecting with people and networking with people who do have a very good relationship with these lifts and how they coach it. And I reached out to Eleiko, the barbell company that many people are very aware of, and I actually got in touch with Rickard Blomberg, and we went back and forth a couple times on email, just talking shop. And to be honest, I've gotten on the phone a couple times, and I said, man, I'd really like to have you on the show. One of their big pushes is the education side of the business, and I did not know this. In America, they're selling a lot of bars, and that's kind of where I had a little bit of stereotype for what they had going on. And then outside of America, they're selling equipment. They're involved with a substantial amount of different things going on in the grid type of shows and workouts and competitions, the Olympic lifts, and a whole bunch of other things they got going on. So as I learned more and more about their business, I just said, we got to get them on the show. So, Rickard, man, it's an honor and a privilege to have you on the phone here. I really appreciate the opportunity to, even over the past few weeks here, getting a chance to learn a little bit more about you, to be very open with everybody on the show. And it's an honor to have you on though, man.
Thank you very much, Coach. I'm very happy to be here on the show, and thank you very much for inviting me. It's truly an honor to speak to you, and I'm glad to be able to share a little bit about what we do at Eleiko, specifically in the U.S., what we have done now in the last 5 to 6 years, and some of the plans also moving forward. So I'm really looking forward to be part of your show.
Rickard, as I've been learning more and more about what you guys got going on, it's a family-owned and ran business, which, again, I did not know. So I got to ask you, man, the biggest question I probably ask on this show right off the bat is, where does your passion come for the field, for producing unbelievable equipment, and really helping elevate our field as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. We are a family business, and I don't think that many people actually know that. And my parents have owned Eleiko for about 20 years. So we've been involved in it for very, very long. I run our U.S. sales company, and I work very closely with my brother, Eric Blomberg, who is the CEO in Sweden. So he runs a corporate office. It's just great being part of family business because you feel like there's a lot of passion in, anytime that we speak, we know each other very, very well. And it's always great to have these really, conversations about where we want to take the business and what we want to do and how we can best support the athletes and coaches that we work with in Eleiko. And I think that when you say, where my passion comes from, it's definitely that, working with the top athletes and also working with people that are on the way to becoming a top athlete, to becoming a champion. We have one of our kind of mottos is that at Eleiko, we are for champions and champions of tomorrow. So we love to be part of, that highest level of competitive sports, whether or not if it's weightlifting or powerlifting, which is obviously our product that we sell specifically to, or even if it's preparing athletes for other sports by providing them with equipment to train to become stronger, faster, and more explosive. But we also obviously are very passionate about supporting athletes, supporting up-and-coming athletes that might be, coming into this sport and having a possibility of becoming a future champions. That's really where my passion comes from.
Smarter Team Training actually started as an education-first type of business, and we did a lot of events throughout the course of the year. And so one of the big things that drew me to just getting on the phone and talking to you is finding out about your passion and your persistence as far as education through your business and helping people learn more about the Olympic lift and the execution of those very technical skills. And, how important is educating the consumer with regard to your product and how the equipment can be used in your overall business scheme?
I think it's becoming even more and more important. We have, as you might know, we have been traditionally a weightlifting and powerlifting company. We started in, if you wouldn't mind me going into a little bit of the history of the company and then tying that into how we have progressed into becoming more of an education company. We started making barbells back in 1957. That was the first time we made a barbell. And the story actually started with a company that was started in 1927 by Mr. and Mrs. Johansson. This was a little entrepreneurial little company back in Sweden. And the company actually made waffle irons and toasters, different electrical products. And a lot of people ask us what Eleiko stands for. And it actually stands for, it's an abbreviation, which has absolutely nothing with weightlifting to do, but it stands for Elektriska Installationer Kommanditbolag, which is Swedish for Electrical Installations Partnership Company. So that's actually what the company was doing, a little small entrepreneurial company. But it had a weightlifter in the factory. His name was Mr. Hellström. He was a weightlifter, and he had at the time in the 50s, he's seen a problem with barbells at the moment, because when you're having a weightlifting competition, you had to have 15, 20, 30 bars in order to get through a competition, because they tended to bend and break, and they didn't spin. They had a lot of issues. But he had this idea on how to make a revolutionary barbell that could obviously last an entire competition. It had a special Swedish steel to be used that wouldn't bend or break during an event, and it had to have perfect rotation on the sleeves. It had to have a perfect knurling and perfect grip. So he had this idea about how to make this revolutionary barbell. So we went into the managing director, who was the owner at that time, the Mrs. Johansson, and asked for permission to do that. She had never lifted a bar in her life, but she said, like, sure, well, we're an entrepreneurial little company. We can try this. Let's see how it works out. He got permission to try it out, and it was an immediate success. It pretty much revolutionized the weightlifting world at the time. So the Eleiko barbell that was released in 1957 set a new standard for barbells. Set basically the gold standard for it. And it was used in 1963, was the first time an Eleiko barbell was used in a world championship. So now we have been to over 40 world championships, I believe. In 1969, we became certified by the International Weightlifting Federation. And ever since the bar was introduced, the Eleiko bar has been used in over 1,000 world records, which is kind of unheard of. So there's been over 1,000 world records set with our bars. So that kind of proves the functionality of the bar that the lifters really appreciate. So we have had this, this very, very long history in weightlifting. We obviously moved into powerlifting. We made great powerlifting bars. So we've been working with the IPF, the International Powerlifting Federation, as well for a very long time. So we had a lot of experience in Olympic lifting throughout the years that we have worked with these top athletes. And with the way that the interest for weightlifting has, I would say, exploded in the last couple of, let's say the last 10 years, the last decade, with the rise of, obviously, functional fitness, you can say CrossFit, different type of functional movements and things like that. So the interest for weightlifting has obviously exploded. The interest for using a barbell in your training. And we saw a great need here for correct education programs in order to promote safe lifting. That's the number one thing. Using a barbell has to be safe, and using a barbell in the right way. So we saw a great need for that. So that's something that we try and take all the information that we have, all the knowledge, all the experience that we have from working with professional weightlifting at the highest level for over 60 years, and tying that into our education program. So that has become more and more important for us, for sure.
I've been very fortunate to be involved as a consultant or direct contact for many new facility installations, for upgrading facilities, just people coming in and asking for recommendations on what type of equipment to get. They will spend a very long amount of time debating about what type of dumbbell or plate or piece of equipment from a strength training side. And sometimes I just feel like it's overlooked about the quality of the bars or what the difference the bars make. But everybody then is going to go to the bench press and get underneath the bar and do it. But they never really considered it, that they're looking at the weights and that type of thing. And the more I keep thinking about this, I just have a question. What should a coach be looking for in a quality barbell? Can you talk me through a little bit the bearings versus bushings? What does width even mean? And even the spin rate. I mean, how are all those things affecting the different types of bars that we should be using for different types of training environments?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, sometimes it is overlooked, because investing in a new strength conditioning facility at a if you're at a university or a college or a high school, and investing in that strength conditioning facility, you're looking at a considerable investment, sometimes, multi-million-dollar investment. And you're looking obviously at all the equipment that goes in there, whether, if it's racks, it's the flooring, it's all the storage facilities, and, everything about making it look nice. And sometimes, you feel like the barbell is the one thing that the athletes are actually touching every single time that they come into that weight room and it's going to work out and become stronger and faster. The barbell is the number one thing that I think that you should invest a considerable amount of resources in, because that's what the athlete is touching every time. So you have to have a barbell that is obviously safe. There you go into the issue with the rotation of the sleeve. What we use in our Olympic bars and our sport training bars and all our weightlifting barbells is obviously needle bearings, to make sure that you have a very, very perfect rotation, because you never want that bar to lock up, especially in an inexperienced athlete, especially in if you're doing a clean or if you're doing a snatch and the bar locks up, you can have some serious injuries in that case. So, you want to have that smooth rotation, which is important. When it comes to the width and the flexibility of the bar, we also see that's important. I think that comes from our 1,000 world records. It's one of those things that traditionally the Eleiko bar has been known for a great feeling when you lift with it. And I think that I shouldn't probably be the one to talk about that. There should be one of the athletes that has set a world record with our bars who can probably speak much more exactly how they feel when they lift with the bar. But that's all part of the product. So yeah, overall, I think that, you shouldn't just look at all the other products going into a weight room. I think that the number one thing that you need is a good barbell. If you can get that, you can do so much with your athletes that it's going to be worth it in the long run. And I can also go into obviously talking a little bit about our pricing here as well. When, traditionally people think that an Eleiko barbell has been unreachable in terms of pricing. So I think that we have done a lot in order to put out products that are affordable at all levels. We have the highest quality Olympic weightlifting bars, all the way down to multi-purpose, multi-function bars that can go into a high school facility and become, an investment for a high school facility that will last them a very, very long time with no problems with them.
That's a very easy lead into my next question here. What is the difference between a competition bar, a training bar, a sports training bar? If someone goes on your website there and goes through that list of different bars, which one is really perfect for each environment? Talking high school, talking college, talking to a facility that only deals with Olympic lifters or preparing people for ultimately competition. Are they training on competition bars? Are they practicing on competition bars, or is competition bars only used for competition? Walk me through that. I don't have a big background in the entire Olympic lifting sport as a whole, so this is very interesting to me.
Yeah, no, it's a couple of things that goes into this. So we obviously let's talk about the weightlifting bars primarily. One thing that we have said is that we will never ever compromise on the quality of our steel. That is something that you will never see us do, because if you buy an Eleiko bar, you need to expect it to last a very, very long time without bending or breaking or anything like that. So we will never compromise on the actual use of the steel. So you will have the same steel in all our bars. When you look at the top bar that we have, is the Eleiko Olympic weightlifting bar, the competition bar. And that is obviously certified by the International Weightlifting Federation. It's calibrated, so you will know that a 20-kilo bar will weigh roughly 5 to 8 grams more. Never less, but just 5 to 8 grams more. So you will have an incredibly accurate bar for the competition bars. And they obviously follow the International Weightlifting Federation standard. The measurements are specified in the regulations here. It has 5 needle bearings on each side of the sleeve, 5 needle bearings, so you get perfect rotation on there. Then we have a training bar as well, a weightlifting Olympic training bar. The only difference here is that it doesn't meet the exact requirements of the calibration, but it's still the same type of bar, so that's the perfect bar for training weightlifting. Then we have, so that would be for professional weightlifters. Then we have a newly released, we have it out for a couple of years, a sport training bar. So it's basically an Eleiko Sport training bar, and that is the bar that we recommend to a college or a high school. And what we do this using the same type of steel as I said. So, you get a high quality bar. You get 4 needle bearings on each side, and the dimensions of the sleeves are a little tiny bit different from the competition bars. So what we've done there is just make sure that we get it as low in price as possible to make sure that everybody can use it and afford it. And you're going to get a bar that's going to last you pretty much a lifetime of lifting on a bar like that. Then we have a newly released bar as well. We call it the XF bar. That's more of a multi-purpose bar. It has markings also for if you're doing powerlifting, it has markings for powerlifting on there as well. That has a combination of bushings and needle bearings. So that's going to be a bar that's going to used for that everyday multi-purpose exercises, a lot of repetitions. So that's our XF bar. But like I said, still the same steel in that one as well. So you're going to get a great bar, great flexibility, and still very good rotation on there. So I think that kind of sums up the weightlifting bars that we have.
I want to talk a little bit about customer feedback and how that has helped, I'm guessing as a small business, getting people to give you feedback about their experiences with the different types of bars is paramount for you guys. When you guys are attending events and conferences, I'm sure you guys are very, very open-armed to having people come to the booth and just talk about their experiences with your product. I mean, how has customer feedback really impacted the evolution of your bars and even your strength training equipment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially as a small company, we take, I take every comment personally, pretty much. I mean, that's kind of how it is. I mean, if you let us know something when you have, if you were to have a comment or something on that on one of our products, if it wasn't shipped right to you or whatever it was, if something went wrong in that side, I literally take it personal. I want to do everything I can to make sure that gets corrected and sorted out, because I want, in the end, the customer should have a perfect product. They should expect that from a company like Eleiko. And I really pride myself in personally taking responsibility for every little thing that might happen. And also, when you say about just speaking about customer feedback on functionality wise, that's always something that we listen to, and we want to hear more. We're trying to find, obviously you can always email us, you can always call us. Social media is great for these type of things. Sending messages on our Facebook page has worked really well for us. So if people do have any comments, then we're really interested in getting those things. One thing is you can say we released a new weightlifting disc for a couple of years ago, and when we released it, we realized that when it lays flat on the floor, it's pretty hard to pick up. So immediately, one of our customers reached out and told us about that. So what we did immediately, there was some modifications to the sides of the disc, so that we made it a little bit rounder, and it was all of a sudden easier to pick up from the floor when it was lying flat on the floor. So those are just an example of how we listen to customer comments and feedback, and constantly look into ways to improve our products.
I want to talk a little bit about the cost. I'm always interested to know about how people in business, and I'm talking from a business person to a business person here. I mean, how do you define what the value of something is, what it costs? I mean, how do you go through that process of finding out what the point is that really helps your product sell and be profitable, so you can make sure that your business is around for quite a long time? I mean, you already given us a little bit of history. I know you guys are doing the right things here to help, again, provide an outstanding product. Walk me through a little bit of process. I mean, how do I approach a coach to talk about what bars cost versus other things that are on our wish list for our facility? And give me a little bit of, maybe even a little bit of a marketing sales pitch for me to walk into a facility and talk to a coach about upgrading their bars.
What I would look at it is, how long does a bar last? And how long does it keep on spinning perfectly? How long does it remain straight? How long does it last? And I think that we are in a very unique situation at Eleiko, where I think that you can find more bars that are over 30, 40, even 40 years old, Eleiko bars in facilities across the world that are still being used to this day in their gyms. So you can look at a bar and it's gonna last 30, 40 years and still being used. And comparing that to a lower quality bar that might last you, 2 years, 3 years maximum with poor functionality. And after that, you're going to keep it You might have to keep them still because you don't have the budget to upgrade them. You have a bar that might not spin, that might be dangerous for your athletes. I think that is the differentiating factor here between Eleiko and lower, let's say, lower quality barbells. That longevity of a bar, because I mean, if you're looking at our sport training bars, which are $749, spreading it out over let's say 20 years, you're going to look at a pretty small investment for that 1 year. So that's our number one thing that we think that coaches should look at.
I've been on your website, and you and I have talked several times. Again, one thing I did not know or even realize outside of bars. I mean, I'm going to stereotype you guys as a bar company. In my head, if I was contacting you, I'd be going to that discussion of just bars. But as I found out more information, you guys, again, in outside of the U.S., you guys are producing equipment and doing a bunch of things, and maybe that's even starting to come a little more to our coast, our country maybe. But one thing I noticed, and a lot of colleges are starting to pick up on, are your plates. Bumper plates, and if someone who's involved with Olympic lifting is very familiar with your plates from the bumper sides. I even saw you come up with I believe it's even a chrome plated one that looks really slick. If anybody's out there that's looking for some plates, do some homework here. They've come up with some custom plates that look really, really cool. I mean, do me a favor, walk me through this concept. I mean, how much of an impact can custom plates have on recruiting? And I don't necessarily mean recruiting from just the college aspect or the pro aspect, but even from the high school. I mean, I live in Baltimore, Maryland. There's a lot of private schools here that are looking for an edge, and one way to get athletes in is to really make that training environment really look top-notch. Even if you're in the private sector and you're working in a sports performance facility like myself, I mean, if your facility looks better than another facility, there's value in that. I like the word that you used, investment. I mean, you're really trying to invest in your business. You're investing in you. I mean, walk me through that process here. I mean, how much value does adding custom plates have to enhancing your overall experience for your clients or coaches, your athletes you get a chance to work with?
Yeah, great question. And I think that, you did mention the chrome plates, and we actually released those a couple of years ago, and they are absolutely stunning discs. I really advise you to check out University of Texas in Austin or UMass as well. Phenomenal installations that looks stunning and have obviously first-class equipment. So I think that, when you go into a facility like that, let's say UMass, go into a facility like that, you are going to get, as a potential student athlete, I mean, you're obviously going to get a phenomenal feeling there. You're going to look at it and say, look, I really want to train here. So the look and the feel of the facility is obviously incredibly important. I think that there are coaches both ways, either there are coaches that really want to have custom everything, or there are those coaches that just don't want custom discs and bars because they're going to go into a facility and say, look, you're going to know where you are. You don't have to have it on the disc. Some people really want everything on the disc as well. And we want to accommodate both of those, because I think that no matter if you want custom or not custom, you should have a product that looks amazing, that is representative of the university or college or high school, that really represents who you are as a school. And it needs to be inspiring for people that are in there as well. So I think that it's obviously important. We want to accommodate all type of requests here.
Again, I'm aware that you guys are a family-owned and family-ran business, and I'm sure that there have been ups and downs throughout your experience here, going from basically nothing, I guess, if you want to call it that, way back in the day, and now becoming the top company, I would argue, I guess, for barbells, especially in the U.S. So, I mean, walk me through that process, or do me a favor, give me some words of encouragement. If someone's actually wanting to pursue an equipment company, or they want to pursue business in general, I mean, what kind of words of wisdom or words of inspiration would you have for those who are going through a little bit of tough time, or just want to take that next step and they just need a little bit of a push?
Well, I think for one thing is that you got to be passionate about what you do. And if you're just looking for something and you're not really sure, you need to really think about what are you passionate about. Because if you find out that, if you figure out what makes you want to get up in the morning and go to work, doesn't matter if it's raining, if it's cold. I live in Chicago. I know it's pretty, it's miserable here in the winter months, but still, I'm incredibly passionate about getting up in the morning and going to work and finding out how can I continue to support top level athletes and how can I continue to help new upcoming athletes to become champions of tomorrow? How can I do that? I could not possibly wish to do anything else. And I think that if you're able to find out what drives you, then you're just going to find a way to get into the field that you're passionate about. And, sometimes you have to take the long way. And I can say I have had to do it myself too. You're working jobs where you're just doing things because of your passion. You might not get paid as much, but in the long run, it all should lead towards that thing that you're passionate about. I think that's the most important for me.
Again, Rickard, I really appreciate the opportunity here to get a chance to know you personally and then more about the business over the last couple of weeks here. And it's an honor to have you on the show. I thought we went through a lot of great questions here that I had. Again, I don't get a chance to talk to too many people that are very open about, one, their business and just being very humble or very transparent, I guess is a good word, and just answering good questions, I guess. And I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. Again, leading up to the show, you've been very open. And I'll give the listeners a little bit of a message here. There are not too many businesses where you can get the head guy, the CEO, the president, whatever you want to call it, the head person at the top of that pyramid on the phone. And this guy, as soon as I sent him an email, within minutes, he sent it back to me, and for no other reason. He didn't know me or didn't know our agenda or didn't know what we were trying to do. He just sent back a very clear, concise, and professional message, man. The good ones will make time to give back to you if you are willing to just go a little bit and show your interest in them. So, Rickard, man, I'm really appreciative of you being on the show here, my man. If anybody wanted to find out more information about what you have going on, obviously the bars and the equipment, even the education side of things that you have going on all over the country now, how could they go about finding out more information about connecting with you?
Thank you very much, Coach. I really appreciate being on the show, and it's an honor to be part of it. So I appreciate it very much. Like I said, I'm passionate about spreading the word about our company and making people understand who we are and making people see what we can do to support a coach in their work of developing phenomenal athletes. You can get in touch with us at our website, eleikosport.com. Or you can call our office here in the U.S., our Chicago office. Our number is 866-447-9441.
Well, again there, Mr. Rickard, I appreciate the opportunity to get a chance to talk to you. I know that you and I are going to do a bunch of things down the road here, and I'm just glad that this is going to be a launching pad for us to do many things to help others, hopefully inspire greatness in the many, many people that we have the honor to work with. So, again, man, I appreciate you being on the show. I appreciate your contribution, and I look forward to just keeping in touch, buddy.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Coach, and I look forward to continue working with you as well.